First things first, after the planer gets hooked up, you'll go to your screen here that will bring up to this screen. You will hit ISOBUS. Of course, it's showing things offline since we just turned it on. Get out of these. We do not have a battery hooked up to this unit yet, so it's straight off the truck. We put the software in it. This is some of the codes you're going to get. So if you leave the tractor running and hook up your ISO, looks like this is what will come up. Select continue to apply the existing vehicle configuration to the attached implement. Select jump 2 to pick a stored. So if you hit continue, then it's going to look at what is connected to it now. That's what I would suggest there. Get back out of this, out of here. Number 7 there on the run screens, it's got the ISOBUS UT interface, and this right here was not there, but it's loaded the planer. Once we click on that, this is where we're going to grab our planer information. And this is kind of how it's set. There's no changing where this stuff is at because this is on the UT side. This is all still configurable down here for, you can split map, you can do a split map for your singulation, and you've got your camera view there. You can still configure all of this stuff, but on your VT, all of this is preset and cannot be moved around. So everything that we're used to is still kind of the same deal. We do have the option to go up to 1,000 pounds of gull wing downforce control now, and you will have to click that on to activate it. I want to turn it back off so the alarm don't go off. Same way with closer control. All of it is very similar, and you can. This is how you change. Every time you hit the plus button up, it's going to move up 5 at a time. So you can change this number to whatever you want it to be. Clean and control. You got different. This is all your bar graphs. You can still zoom in on a per row issue if you've got something that you want to really look at. Then you hit the up arrow, and that will zoom you back out. So as far as looking at a bar graph, that's one way to do that. You still got jump start, you got prime. This is where you would actually put in a downforce poundage number, and you can hit here and type it in. So if you click this and actually type it in, so now it's got that, and then this is your step. So every time it'll go up in 10 increments, and you can change that to 5 or whatever you would want to. So there's that run screen. You got your number 4. This will show you, if you want to put them in manual for some reason or override the auto. And you can do all on manual. Say if you run out of seed and want to make sure you plant through, and then you change them back and just hit all auto, and that will go through. Number 5, just some places where you can keep track of how many acres in that field that you've done. You can reset those. Your voltages, alternator, this is your seed bin alarm, left low it shows. Downforce summary, your bulk fill lights, all of those things. Number 6, just some other things showing singulation, multiple skips, those kinds of things. So go back here. This is your power button like we're used to on the Pro 700 as well, so that will have to be activated so the planer knows to be planting, so that needs to be green. This is where you actually do planer setup, and this is where you tell it what does this thing have on it. So you'll turn on bulk fill. If it's got a Gen 3 2020, you'll turn that on. If it's got bulk fill lights, you'll turn that on. This is left speed sensor, and we did add that as an option. A lot of you guys will not have this left speed sensor. That's going to be on the gauge wheel of the planer like our old 1200s. That was an option I added. just for some redundancy on speed control for some of our guys. Wing downforce, pneumatic closer, both of those are on, let's see, pneumatic cleaner, pneumatic closer, alternator, coulter, markers, liquid control, so all those things. That's where we're going to do that. Oh, let me go back to that, because there's one thing at the top that this is going to be from the factory. This shows to be none, so you have to click that and hit hydraulic for your delta force to show up for downforce control. We'll go back here, we'll put measurements set up, and this is where you're going to type in your measurements, and if you're wondering what things are, they'll have a blue button, question mark, that you can click, and it'll show you distance from the vehicle connection point hitch to the application point of the primary controller, which would be your exit point of your seat, and it kind of shows that's where you'd want to measure from the hitch to your exit of your seat is what you want to put. And then, okay, application control. We've left this alone. This all come kind of like this. Just double check your settings there. Customizable settings. You can change your jump start. If you want it to jump start at 5 miles an hour, when you take off, it'll be at 5 instead of 2. And how many seconds, you can kind of do some things there. Your alarm and beep settings, you can customize that. Your seat information thresholds, you can actually change these in here if needed for showing you your color, for how much percentage off that you are. That shows 12, 4.5, and 12.1. So I don't think you can change that, but when you change it up here, it's going to change those parameters. So yes, it lowered those the levels of those. So I'm going to leave that on what it was at normal. You can change this by crop type for different things. For all of these, good spacings, all of that stuff's there. Speed selection. This is something that you're going to have to set because it comes with none as selected. So make sure you grab your tractor ISO or something to where you're grabbing some speed input here. Okay, implement setup adjustment. This is just some of those levels for your gauge wheel downforce for alarms. All right, that is all good there. We've already went through that. Calibration settings. And this is where you want to pick the unit up. And this is something that needs to be done every time we set up a planter. You need to have the planter lifted with no weight on the ground and setting still, and you need to do a gyro cow, and then also lift it up to where there's no pressure on the low cells and hit that calibration as well. So that'll for sure need to be done under the calibration settings. You've got some work conditions set up, so these, from the way I understand it, if you click on corn, there's okay, planer will restart. So it will restart, and my understanding it will go ahead and change your cell per disc to the correct one, and you can just select these things, kind of like the Pro 700 is, if you want to copy the work condition or not. So this is actually has it, you can change it for rate per drive or rate per side or rate all drives, and we're going to leave it at this rate all drives because we're not doing multi-hybrids or anything like that. So you can have your preset. This is where you can have your preset default numbers. So if you want to have different ones for your different drives, and this is starting on the left side, row units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you can have two defaults, a 32 and a 34 across the whole thing. Here's your seats per disc, and then also your belt factor. This is where we can if we need to manipulate or change that, that's where we will do this in soybeans. Vacuum, there's how we can change this, and this will all save to this work condition once we set all of this. And then your seed rows are all automatic and auto active rows. So if you wanted to shut off one of them, you could. Deactivated, activated. Let's see what else we got. We got downforce rows, load cell rows that you can turn on or deactivate, inactive. Leave all those on active. So it shows setup, rate all drives, and when we click on corn and hit OK, then it's going to actually restart the ISO of the planter. You do not have to key cycle since it's all done in the planter ECU. You don't have to key cycle your tractor on this the way that I understand it. So you've got a lot of options here. I guess you hit the down page here to see the rest, but you can have a lot of work conditions for different crop types and all that good stuff. So let's go back. Okay, we've got diagnostics. So we've got seed meter. This is where we would do the diagnostic page on the Pro 700. Got your pneumatic stuff. You can actually do your compressor and do some testing and things with that. Of course, it's saying it's low because we ain't got it on. You've got another compressor override, so you can do some manipulating there. Hydraulic downforce. So this is where we would see, hey, do I need to recalibrate my load cells if I got one way out of whack? This is where we would go to do that, is in that and the hydraulic downforce. The signal monitor is just something where you can actually click in here and go through and look at the state of different sensors and all that good stuff. That's good for diagnosing for the mechanics. Okay, faults and alarms, if there was any, they would show up here. System info shows you some software version, and this is the software version that we put in, 2.2. Shows the hardware version there, all that good stuff. So there's that. And then if you hit this button, this is something that needs to be done when you first update your planter. This is something that needs to happen to get any of the Pro 700 information out of that ECU. You need to click Restore Factory Defaults, and it shows in your document to do this as the very last step after you update your planters. This really kind of covers most everything. If you got any questions, give me a holler.